Hello and welcome to the Spark of Ages podcast. In this episode, we'll be exploring Krispy Krunchy Chicken, or KKC, and the larger chicken sandwich wars landscape in which our special guest, Alice Crowder, competes in. Alice is the CMO of KKC, which is one of the fastest growing hot food concepts in the convenience store business. KKC has built a cult-like brand with consumers and has grown to over 3,000 retail locations across 47 states. Alice's food and beverage marketing experience also includes Crystal Restaurants, where she also served as CMO, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, where she headed menu strategy and innovation, and multiple years with Denny's as their senior director of new product marketing.
Oh my God. I should not have started this podcast with an empty stomach. This was a mistake. I know.
Today's show is a little different than what we typically do. We're looking at the CMO role at a consumer-based company so we can hunt for ideas that might spark our own creativity and imagination in terms of go-to-market growth. Some of the key takeaways you can expect from this episode: growth strategy in a highly competitive category like chicken sandwiches, and that's super competitive, by the way. The role data and analytics play in driving go-to-market for a consumer product. The evolution of the CMO role that comes with technological upheaval. Alice, welcome to the Spark of Ages.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. You came upon us through the Marketing Mars event that one of our folks who arranges this show, Taryn, met you there, and she just loved your style, loved your way of thinking and the way you innovate. And so, so glad to have you here. I think it'll be a lot of fun and a lot of learning for us. One of the questions that we want to just kick off with, this is the chicken sandwich space is a super hot space, right? I mean, even McDonald's now has created a chicken Big Mac, right? Because they see their lunch being eaten. So as a marketer, your company is one of the most fiercely contested of those products, right? The chicken sandwich. And when you joined the company just recently in 2023, were the chicken sandwich wars something you considered in differentiating Krispy Krunchy foods from anyone else? Were there some differentiation that you felt, or was this just a super fast growing category, that you felt that you could really innovate on?
Yeah, it's a great question. Our business was built on bone-in chicken and tenders, and we had a chicken sandwich when I got here. But really, all the love and the history of the company had come from bone-in and tenders. When we started to look at it, it was a real miss in terms of the product mix that we had. It was designed for value as opposed to consumer delight. So it was a thinner product. It's what we call chopped and form, which is where you take a bunch of chicken bits and kind of crush them together to look like a patty. And it was at a really competitive price point, but it was more stomach fill than a product that would build an affinity with a guest. So when I started, head of supply chain, and I started working on it, we wanted a sandwich that would represent the quality that the bone-in and the tenders did. From our research, what we know is people seek out Krispy Krunchy for three reasons. The first is quality. The second is value. Number three, craveability. We absolutely deliver on that with bone-in and our tenders, but the sandwich was more a value price point. So we really deconstructed the whole thing. We ate a lot of chicken sandwiches from a lot of different people. I can't even count how many chicken sandwiches.
The research phase must have been pretty fun.
Product testing.
I mean, really, if I'm honest, this is the best job in the world. I would talk to my husband. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm eating out in chicken sandwiches. I gotta eat three more.
Yeah. I'm working right now. Don't bug me.
Yeah, don't bother me. I got to digest some chicken. But so we started with the meat. We started with the chicken. Our chicken is marinated in this really lovely mild blend of Cajun seasoning. So we started there. We also got what we call whole muscle, like breast meat. We just carved the breast meat out of the chicken. So it's the highest kind of quality piece of the chicken. It's whole, and then it's marinated in these great spices. And then it's lightly coated with our proprietary breading, which gives it that really nice crunch. Like there's a lot of ASMR with our brand, right? You bite it and you hear it. But we didn't stop there. We have a signature honey sauce that we put on our biscuits. We put a little of that on. We even upgraded the pickles. So we have these really crisp, flavorful dill slices. You can tell if somebody cares about the quality of their product by if they skimp on the pickles or not. And we did not.
That's right. I was going to say, nobody loves a soggy pickle, but yet, it's
or
easy
a
to
sour
find.
pickle. Yeah. And then we topped it with this lovely soft brioche bun. So you put it all together. We did a lot of testing to make sure that what we thought was good was what our target thought was good. And then we introduced it with quite a bit of fanfare earlier this year. And since then, sales of the sandwich have doubled. We're at 200% of what we were last year.
Oh my gosh.
So people are really responding to it.
Were you ever surprised by the reactions in your testing? Like, was there ever like, my man, I really like this version of the sandwich or this version of the sauce, but everybody seems to like this other one. I'm just curious, like, were there any sort of surprises that came out of that testing?
Yeah, so I'm always wrong. It is a joke with our chef who has been with me at several brands for about a decade. It's whatever Alice thinks is definitely going to tank in research. One of the things we did when I started with the brand is a segmentation study, which is a fancy way of saying we figured out who our brand serves, what we represent to those people, and who they want us to be. And so when I do testing, taste testing, concept testing, anything else, we speak only to those people. We have something called a typing tool so that when I go into research, we are testing with the people who are most likely to be exposed to the product. And then they tell us if what we've guessed is right or wrong and help us get to the right spot for them. I'm a little bit famous for a bit of a feisty temper. And one of my triggers is I hear from investors and board members and salespeople all the time, well, you should have consulted me because what I think, your gut is not statistically significant. You're
an anecdotal gut, okay?
Yeah, 120 people who represent your target. That's where you want to get your insights. So yes, I have been proven wrong many times. The sandwich, one of them, the bun. I wanted a little bit heartier bun, a little bit chewier bun, but it turns out people really want that contrast between super soft bun, super crispy filet.
Wow. So that's what you sort of meant by the not just the taste, but the cravability, right? So that's part of that whole notion of putting it together. It's not the individual, it's how it comes together.
Yeah, it's the whole palate experience. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So if you try to do the Silicon Valley thing or the thing where you try to remove the bun and just have the meat, that you're not getting the experience.
Yeah, we learned this on, I just tested some chicken tenders, and we thought we had done a good job with designing the test, and I wanted them just to taste the tender and tell me what they thought about it. But we got a lot of feedback that that's not how I eat a tender. To me, the tender is a sauce conduit. I want to get as much honey mustard as I can on there and eat that. That's how you should have tested. And in my head, I'm like, well, you're not giving me a pure read on the tender, but it's my own words coming back to eat me, right? You have to test it the way that your target's going to enjoy it.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And how did you decide who your target was? And this actually kind of combines with this notion of the hot food concept, which I think is so let's talk about the target and then let's get into the hot food concept, because I think both are really interesting ways of how this is a different business than what most people would normally think.
And it is. That's something, I came from a long line of QSR and before that packaged goods. And so came with a lot of assumptions about what a restaurant operating in a C-store should and could be. It's a different target. It's a different set of expectations. It's a different set of occasions. So to answer your first question, we did a traditional segmentation the first month that I was here. And this is where I geek out. So you're just going to have to give me a sign or something that's like,
I love the geeking out.
No,
some people get
geek.
us back on
Let's
track
geek.
if we geek out too far.
Yeah.
So in a segmentation, you go out and you talk to a whole bunch of different people and you ask them questions like, do you eat fried chicken? There's a group that eats fried chicken. If you do, where are all the places that you eat fried chicken? Well, I eat at KFC and Chick-fil-A and so and so and so and so. If they name your restaurant, that's giving you a point of unaided awareness. Like it's top of mind. Right. So we put them in a group. After that, we say, all right, what if I give you some names? What about Krispy Krunchy Chicken? Oh, yeah, I've eaten there. Okay. And that gives you another set of terms. So when we talk about brand awareness, we talk in terms of unaided awareness and aided awareness. Unaided you want, because that means you're really top of mind, but that's aided, at least you're in the consideration set, right? And then we start talking to those folks. So when do you eat chicken? Why do you eat the chicken? What are you looking for in the chicken? The chicken that you like the best, what does it look like? The chicken that you don't like, what is it like? What do you expect to pay? And so when you put all those into a big chart, you start to see how different groups come together. And those are your segments. It used to be that people did segmentation strictly on demographics. Like I like single, or the people like me are single women with 1.3 kids and they make this much money. It turns out to be more nuanced than that. So our segments are based on demographics, but also occasions. So my number one target is a group. I have 3 targets. Our number one target or segment is a group of people that regularly get their prepared food from convenience stores because it's affordable and because their schedules are such that they need it when they need it. And they're going to stop in the morning maybe and get a Mountain Dew or a coffee, but they're also going to pick up a 3-piece and a biscuit for lunch that day and put it into their cooler. They're representative of the population. They use us interchangeably with QSR, with fast food, but we are seen in their mind as the same quality as fast food, but at a better price. And then when they compare us to other choices, other chicken choices in convenience stores, they see us at the same price, but a higher quality. So we have this beautiful little sweet spot with that segment. I have a second segment that's, for lack of a better word, hipsters who think it's cool to find cool stuff in a convenience store to chow down on.
Okay.
And you see them on Instagram and TikTok all the time. I found this great chicken in the convenience store and I put some Cheeto dust on it. You know.
I hear you on this hipster segment. These are my people, my friends.
I'm always fascinated with how people take things. We put all this research and care and everything into things, and people go into a convenience store and you're like, I'm going to chop up some sweet tarts and put it on this biscuit. And I love it.
Yeah. And then you get enough of a segment there, and suddenly you're doing a collab with sweet tarts, and you're on to a whole new product line.
Drop my 5-hour energy onto the chicken and wake myself.
100%. And then our third segment are people who aren't necessarily going to go into a convenience store, isn't in their consideration set for hot food. They might go in for a candy bar or some smokes or a drink or whatever. But if they see a high quality product on a third party delivery like an Uber Eats or a DoorDash, they're going to order it there. And so they're much less price sensitive, right? But we can build loyalty with them through third parties. So those are my 3 segments.
Oh, that's a really interesting segment. I mean, so the actual listing on a GrubHub, Uber Eats, something like that will actually drive sales for you or drive the market for you.
Yeah, it does. And we're getting all of our stores on third party right now, but we've got about call it 600 stores of the 3,000 on. And what we see is that people spend 2.5 times to 3 times what they do in store online. So if I'm going to spend $10 for a meal in the convenience store, the order that shows up to my house is, I think it's pretty close to $26.50. So it's a much bigger market basket. They order different things. They try things from their home, from their couch.
That's amazing. So this gets to that concept of the hot store, right? The hot store concept, because which is different than, is this the first type that you're doing of this in your career, or did you do variations of this before? What you're saying actually in this is like, because you can locate with greater density in these different convenience stores, like an Uber Eats or a GrubHub, I can actually get you fresher product.
Yeah.
In the given time frame, right? Because it's you'll be in more locations that are near a particular person.
Yeah, so we have pretty high penetration, 3,000 stores, nothing to sneeze at. We'll have 4,000 at the end of next year.
Right. I think you were growing like 500 to 700 a year. It's just an incredible amount. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't have to buy the real estate. So people, our licensees have their pad, they have their convenience store, and then we talk about fuel and merchandise. So the inside of the store is their merchandise sales piece. The hot food concept in our research is about 20% of those merchandise sales. But once you add a Krispy Krunchy, your sales go up 15 to 20%, and your traffic increases too, because there is enough brand loyalty that people will drive past another convenience store to get to one with a Krispy Krunchy. Because they know there is that kind of loyalty. And so it does provide an accretive impact to sales and to traffic.
So for the layman who has not experienced a Krispy Krunchy, can you just give it so what's the experience? I'm like passing a Wawa, and then I'll see a sign on the Wawa or something that says Krispy Krunchy inside, or like how do they know that a convenience store has it?
Yeah, so it has signage on the outside. So Wawa has their own food program, but if they ever wanted to upgrade, give me a call. I could help you out, Wawa.
Let's talk about Circle K.
Circle K, yes. So if you go by a Circle K, you'll see on most of the exteriors a lighted die-cut sign that says Krispy Krunchy Chicken. We also, when we open a store, have a big merchandising package, the center of which are these, we call them the flying drumsticks, these huge wind wavers that are just like a big drumstick. So you would see that, you would come in, and, here's your coolers of drinks over here. Here's some snacks. Here's the counter with the lottery tickets. And then on one of the main counters is a hot food case, usually with a little kitchen, either right there with it or behind it in a space, depending on the size of the store. And you just go up and you order it like you would anything in a food court or a bodega or whatever. It's right there for you.
That's really cool. So you come in and so you have actually a 2-part job as the head of marketing. And it sounds like you're also heavily involved in product as well. Maybe in your world, marketing is product, right? Because that's part of the 4 pieces.
It's both, yeah.
Right. But you're marketing to the consumer. You're promoting to the consumer, but you're also promoting to all these outlets, these places that could sign up for it. So you're doing B2B and B2C.
That's a big part of what we do. And this brand was built when it was started 37 years ago. It was built as a solution for operators. And for a long time, the only communication stream was between the brand and the operator, the owner of the convenience store, to say, you want to make a little more money? This is an easy way to do it. When we were purchased by private equity about 3 years ago, they saw the value, as I did when I started looking at the brand, of also being a brand that has a communication system and a relationship with the end user, we call them guests. And so what we've been doing for the past couple of years since I've been here is building that side of the business, understanding what they want from us as an experience, and modifying the way we go to market and what we offer those guests to make us even more appealing and create loyalty.
It's not just a little add-on, you take it and you run. Some of them actually eat they eat at the convenience store. There could be seats there. And so part of the training or the understanding is that taking it like in a dedicated franchise outlet, that's all they do. Right. Now you're taking someone this is a way to drive income and drive additional, retention or more folks coming in, more folks staying. And so you have to do a dual training, right? You have to get them to this can make you more money. You have to dedicate this much space. You have to actually make the goods here, and you have to treat people in a certain way.
Yes. Which, most of our operators understand that intuitively. The majority of our business are with independent operators. We have some chains. We're working on getting more chains, but we were built on folks who, it's a family business for the most part. A lot of our operators, the family works there. And so it's their business, and they understand the importance of being part of the community and treating everyone who comes in as part of that family. So the hospitality part is almost ingrained in the business model. The harder part, believe it or not, is there's benefit and challenge with being a family business. For example, if you have third party, you guys order DoorDash and Uber Eats probably. The prime times for that are Friday night and Saturday night. For a convenience store that's owned by a family, that's their family time. Like they want to quit at 5 and go. That's their night to go out with their family. That's when they're at home. And so they're like, that's just an off time for me. So having to negotiate working with their familial structure and their business structure and then negotiating whatever conflicts come is a big part of what we do.
Yeah, I would imagine potentially a lot of South Asian mom and pop business owners, right?
Sure.
Those are literally our people.
Yeah. Yeah. And
well, it's great because it's not beef, because that would be maybe not so great for us, or pork. This is chicken. We can deal with chicken.
Yeah, we're chicken. We're chicken, and these wonderful, we call them crack biscuits because they're these really sweet cat head drop biscuits with honey all over them. Everybody can eat those.
Yeah, everyone can have some of those. That sounds great. So think when you think about, like, as a marketer, you probably have come across many great different types of promotions that people use in terms of driving their business, and you've seen it across so many different categories. So what's a favorite of yours for how you drove the growth? I know right now you have that $4 value meal. I saw that. That's a thing of today, probably dealing with today's market and today's concept. But is there something that really caught your eye that, God, this really worked well? I think you talked about the chicken bone at the top, or the chicken. Yeah.
Yeah. The flying drumstick works really well for us. We rebranded when I got here, and I think that helped because the brand hadn't really focused on the guest experience. They just kind of went in and said, let's just put it in and see what happens. And so there was a lot of red and white and a lot of really functional kind of signage around it. When we came in and have an amazing creative team and started looking at, all right, let's look at this through the guest's eyes. How do we create an actual environment for them? So we changed the color scheme entirely, because if you think about convenience stores, it's all red and white. And if you put a red and white, it's the best camouflage there is. If you put a red and white sign on a display that's all red and white around it, you don't see it. So we created, and there's so much clutter too, because every brand is competing for the consumer eye. So we created what we call the visual oasis. Every time I say it, my CEO rolls his eyes at me. He's like, Alice, you and your words. But
you are an English major, so that
I'm
is
an English major. So we have a lot of blue space, like a beautiful deep blue with one central picture and the keywords for our guests, which are hand breaded and prepared fresh. Because we're so proud of the fact that we're fresh chicken.
Yeah.
No one knew.
Never frozen.
Right? Never frozen. And so that is a big part. You hear a lot in advertising and marketing about single most important message. For us, single most important message is never frozen, freshly made, hand breaded back of the house. And so all of our messaging is a variation on those key points presented in as simple as a way and as visually engaging in a way as possible. And it makes a difference. So people started seeing us.
Do you have like salivation studies? Like when you see the picture, like try to, when your audience looks at this, it's like, there must be like certain, because you're trying to evoke, you're trying to get people.
Yeah, you're trying to get people to crave the craving. I mean, I guess that's what you talked about when with the craving. But I just wanted to shout out English majors. Okay. So this is, clear cut example. You are a clear cut example of why being an English major, why focusing on communication and studying this can actually benefit and lead to good jobs, and have, be productive members of society and shouldn't be frowned upon. I'm mostly speaking to South Asian parents. But
as the theater major, right?
Yeah. Well, I was let's not push it. I wasn't a theater major.
Film. Sorry, film and computer science. Something was film, and to make his parents happy.
But I mean, I'm sure hey, look, it's hard to figure out what two words are going to really stick out to people as they're stumbling through or walking through or hurrying through a convenience store to make them stop and go, hey, this is something I want to pay attention to and potentially purchase, right? So for coming up with hand-breaded, like as soon as you said those, I pictured myself in the middle of a Circle K or whatever, and I have my skepticism about the food there, being like, this is not going to be good food for me. Like, this is not why I'm not doing this for health reasons necessarily. But you say that, and all of a sudden I'm like a little bit perked up like that, you know, and you go, hey, maybe this isn't so bad for me. And I should, and I do have to move. And so this is a good option for me. But it probably took you, I imagine, or maybe you could speak to this, like to figure out what those exact words were.
I go back to the segmentation. Like my team gets sick of me saying this, but like, I don't believe there's any problem that can't be solved by process and communication. And so when we listen to the guests in segmentation, we do this thing called, I don't know, I think it's called like a hedonistic index. But we not only find out.
You've got the best words.
I do have words.
This is great.
I can't claim that one.
Index. I'm writing that down.
So we look at how you rate each part of the chicken eating experience, but then we overlay that with what's most important to you. So you may think, for example, that our breading is great and that the meat is really juicy. Which one of those is the one that pushes you more towards the purchase? And for us, it was the freshness. People really respond exactly what you're talking about. People go into a convenience store and they're like, well, I bet this is going to be crap. But when they see that it comes in fresh, it's pre-marinated, but it comes in fresh, and then we double bread it back at the house, you're like, okay, if my mama could cook, that's how she would make it. No offense, Ann Crowder. But, you know, it resets your expectation for what the experience is going to be.
I love that. So people, so when they do come in, they really do care, right? It is sort of the opposite expectation of what you get from a convenience store in terms of quick grab and go and just eat. This is like, I'm getting something fresh. They've actually bred it in the back, which is awesome. And then make it there, which I'm sure is part of the process you've had to work on and create, you know, to enable and sustain and check upon. I wonder, like, when you talked about Uber Eats, DoorDash, GrubHub, right? There are these new sales channels, right, that you were talking about. You're seeing 3x the level of purchasing on those platforms versus others. So one of the things we see is like the rise of retail media networks, right? So like Chick-fil-A has its own streaming service. Are you thinking about that as well, or how to leverage that? Because you have a connection to the consumer, maybe not a loyalty program per se, but it's through the owner operator. How are you trying to reinforce the brand in place, either in store or outside a store?
Yeah, it's tough because, so yes, we are thinking about it, but we're also really nascent stages, right, of building our guest relationship. If you talk to our operators, who are awesome folks, they have, I think, even more so than a franchisee of a QSR or something like that. To them, it's it's Krispy Krunchy, but it's their Krispy Krunchy. And so the level of ownership and pride they take in it is much more almost proprietary than it would be with like a more established brand. So you hear them be like, well, my KKC, I do, you know, this.
I like that. Yeah.
Which from a brand standards standpoint, it's tough because, you know, as a marketer, you want consistency. But at the same time, you go in, you're like, that's pretty cool. I've got one guy who takes the chicken tender, wraps it up in a tortilla with a little bit of cheese and a soft fried egg, and eats it. It's killer. But they have that belief in the quality of the product.
I see. That's a lot. There's a lot of great social posts coming out of that, which I'm sure your team has been working on and developing. I know you used that extensively in your previous roles. Yeah. So are you seeing that too as part of driving it?
So I have used influencers a lot, like for NIL and stuff like that, but the influencers that we engage with are true brand fans. We get a lot of organic content from them. I mean, we do some placements, and then we get organic content, and then we boost it out because it's a creative bunch too. I have one guy in Baltimore who took all the POP out the front of his store and made an outfit out of it. So like the feather flag, or it's like a vest and he like wrapped the legs of his thing with like some window clings or something. And he does this like Krispy Crunchy dance, like all dressed in my POP. But it's
how perfect for our Halloween themed episode.
Oh my gosh. If you don't think I'm wearing that next week, you're crazy. To answer your question directly, like we're really starting to test levers to understand what people relate to. Our socials do really well because there's that kind of organic love. I worked for brands where the product was kind of and so the marketing had to work harder. But if I get this product in anybody's mouth, they're immediately a brand fan. So I like to use those fans as much as possible. So we elevate them. We've done some advertising testing, like some traditional testing. We'll do more of that next year. But really for us, it's about building awareness. We still have a lot of awareness to build before we start worrying about conversion.
No, that's a great way of thinking about it and great way. Like, yeah, when I meant influencer networks, I meant you don't have to go hire them, and the best ones are the organic ones that people feel passionate about. So I love the story about the person stealing your marketing material or taking your marketing material and actually wearing it. It's awesome. Your presence.
Yeah, I like the idea of issuing the My KKC challenge. You know, like showcase that guy that made the like tortilla wrapped one, and then go like, all right, other KKCs, like, how are you going to top this?
What you got?
I have this other guy who's just crazy, and he posts about us all the time, and he always does this like little blessing before, and he's like, love to the crispy, love to the crunchy, love to the chicken, peace, and he eats.
Amazing.
It just cheers me up to watch him because you watch people eat this product, and
it's obsessed.
It's joy, man.
Yeah,
like it evokes joy in them, like not a lot of other stuff does, and that just as a marketer, and just even more as a part of the brand, that just makes you feel good.
Right.
That's amazing. So then when you take all this, right, you may say, what I love about talking with you is that you may say, I'm originally an English major, and you talk about the words, but you actually do a lot with data, right? And with consumers, it's critical to nail it with data, especially when you're doing such scale. So can you just talk about a little bit more of that data and analytics and how you've used that to innovate?
Yeah. So I have very little patience with marketers, even when they're successful, that are like, I know my customer and this is what I'm going to do. That's just like gambling. Just go to Vegas and put all your money on red or black. So we actually have an innovation funnel here that we work on using that typing tool that I talked about, which means we're only talking to people who are either current users of the brand or potential users of the brand. It's kind of a 3-stage process. So the first is the concept itself. And we come up with, so you think about your traditional funnel, very top of the funnel, whole bunch of ideas every month. Yeah. So 2-sentence ideas. What if we put cream cheese icing on a biscuit and put sprinkles on it? What if we made chicken nuggets and put them between 2 waffles? What if we did? And so that's just the concept. And we concept test those through the typing tool and get a pretty good rough read of purchase intent and uniqueness and brand fit. Those are kind of the trinity from that. Then from that gives us our highest potential ideas, and we start fleshing them out. We see if we can build it. We cost it and see if it works within our cost structure. Then we would go to like a simulated marketing test where we set up a menu and it's part of it, and then we put it online with that same typing tool, and people order just like they would. Hey, you're ordering lunch today. What are you going to get? I'm going to get this. And that gives us an idea of, in a retail environment, what's the take rate going to be for this item? So by that point, hey, people think this is a good idea. And if I put it on the menu amongst a whole bunch of other good ideas, it's going to get ordered at a take rate that I like. The third piece of the puzzle is what we call central location tests, where you get about 120 people in a room and they taste it diagnostically. So I'll put a new chicken tender in front of you, and then I ask you if you would order it. I ask you if it would make you come to my store more often. I ask you about the value. I ask you about brand fit. But then I get into the nitty gritty. We use things called jar scores, just about right scores. So was this tender too big, too small, or just about right? Was the breading too thick, too thin, or just about right? Too juicy, too dry, just about right. And you're looking for a bell curve, right? But from that, at the end of the day, I can say, wow, for X idea that people loved and people are going to buy, the palate expectation was matched or was not matched by the taste experience. And that allows me to go back and say, this would be a winner if the breading had a little more flavor and we cut back on the marinade and maybe it was a skosh smaller. So that by the time you go to a traditional market test, you're placing a pretty solid bet based on data.
Curious if AI has had any influence on any of this part of the process for you, or have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, people love AI, man.
Or and then people love it. So we have to ask the question. You can also say no.
Well, maybe with data it does. I mean, it may not come up with your latest creative concept, or maybe it will actually help you ideate with creative concepts and visuals and that kind of stuff. But maybe in the data, there's ways of looking at data differently than you probably would have looked at the typical regressions and correlations and that kind of stuff.
There probably is. I haven't found it yet. Now, we do use AI in things like optimizing the media buy.
Yeah.
Because that tells you, a machine just can do better with, hey, this is getting more engagement, this is getting less engagement, so feed this one, take it from here, and it really optimizes your media buy nicely. I haven't found it in the development process yet, and it's probably just because I haven't done it yet, and I'm old and set in my ways. Certainly AI is being used in a whole lot of places, but right now we're much more traditional in our idea search and development.
That's really interesting.
All right. I think now, speaking of scores and datas and metrics and all that fun stuff, it's time to pit your intelligences to the test. Okay, Alice, I'm gonna welcome you officially to the Spark Tank. This is where two C-level marketers enter and one gets battered, fried, and served up for lunch. All right. That's right. This segment's gonna be all about the chicken wars. We're talking about that glorious, greasy, glorious time in fast food history when seemingly every restaurant chain under the sun decided to duke it out for chicken sandwich supremacy. This happened, right around the pandemic or a little bit before it started. It was a battle fought with crispy batter, spicy mayo, and social media savagery. All right, in one corner, we've got Alice Crowder, CMO of Krispy Krunchy Chicken, veritable expert in all things chicken, and then CEO Rajiv Parikh, who's no chicken himself, but is too foolhardy to know when he's about to get plucked. We'll be serving up 3 statements, okay, about the chicken wars, 2 of which are true and 1 is fake. So let's see who can sniff out the fake meat from the real stuff and who gets tarred and feathered in the Spark Tank. Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Bring it on.
Okay. All right. Round 1. We're setting the stage. We all know that Popeyes fired the first shot with their chicken sandwich and this direct challenge to Chick-fil-A on socials. And that sparked this chicken sandwich war that created long lines, ridiculous wait times, and enthusiasm bordering on mania. This question, or this round, is all about how the other players in the field reacted. So which of these is the false statement? 1, KFC sped into the chicken war scene by partnering with rapper Lil Nas X. 2, McDonald's stormed the beaches of the chicken war with a submission that included a surprise new ingredient, spicy pickles. Or 3, even Taco Bell planted their flag in the war by creating the chicken sandwich taco, partnering with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito with a marketing campaign focused on odd pairings. Which of these is the false statement? 3, 2, 1, reveal. Okay, so Alice, you're saying that KFC partnering with Lil Nas X is false, and Rajiv, you're saying that spicy pickles is false. Well, guess what? You're both wrong. This crazy idea that I came up with about Arnold and Danny becoming twins and creating a chicken taco sandwich is completely false.
It sounded so good, though, that I figured.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
I've seen it.
Right. I mean, we've seen The Odd Couple, and I've seen them come back and do a redo on it.
Yeah.
So I was like, it sounds so good.
This is the Mandela effect in action, everybody. I'm so glad my pitch fooled you both. Okay, great. All right, well, so off to a great start. Both of you have 0 points. Here we go, round 2.
At least I have a shot now. I usually lose these.
All right, this one's all about stats around the chicken wars here. Okay, statement number 1. In the first 10 days after launching their new chicken sandwich, Popeyes sold an average of 1,000 chicken sandwiches per store per day. Statement number 2. Popeyes saw their stock price value multiply much higher than their competitors, KFC, Chick-fil-A, and Wingstop. Number 3, Mentions of Popeye's chicken sandwich during the peak of the social media frenzy reached 25 tweets per minute, including a single tweet from Popeyes in response to Chick-fil-A that generated more engagement than any Super Bowl ad that year. So, okay, which one of these is false? Ready? Your answer in 3, 2, 1, reveal. Okay, so Alice, you say 1 is false. Rajiv, you say 2. Guess what? We have someone who's going to get a point this round, and wildly, it is Rajiv. Yes.
This never happens.
I feel like I have to resign now.
I know. You're doing fine. So yeah, this is wild, actually. So it turned out that Wingstop's stock is actually the one that roughly tripled during this period. It's sort of like a downstream effect of just people being crazy about chicken in general. So other chains like Popeyes did, and McDonald's saw stock prices increase, but they were generally more modest in the range of 10 to 30%. That was a tricky one. Yeah. All right. Don't worry, Alice. You got a chance to come back here. Okay. This third round is about sort of bizarre and wild stories around the, you'll see what I mean very soon. All right. Statement number 1. A man in Tennessee sued Popeyes for $5,000 for false advertising and deceptive business practices after repeatedly failing to get a sandwich, and the case settled out of court. Number 2, someone tried to sell a Popeyes chicken sandwich on eBay for $10,000. That one did not sell, but ones listed in the hundreds of dollars did sell. Number 3, the popularity of chicken sandwiches during the wars led to a noticeable surge in the number of people naming their pet chickens Popeye or Chick-fil-A. Now, 2 of these are actually true. Here we go. Your answer in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? So Alice has guessed that 1 is false, the suing Popeyes, and Rajiv guessed that 3 is false.
No, 2.
You said
2. You said 2. Okay, 2 is false, the eBay one. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a tie because Alice, you got it right. It turns out you're back in the game. It turns out a Tennessee man did sue Popeyes for $5,000, but it did not settle out of court. It was thrown out. It was it did not. So there is a guy that did sue, but he didn't win or anything like that.
So Popeyes refused to buckle down and just write the guy a check. That's amazing.
Yeah. Can you believe that? And then someone did list on eBay for $10,000, and that one didn't sell. But people did list
for hundreds?
And they did sell. Usually it was for the meme. Is what people are finding out. So like,
how much do they sell? Hundreds?
They bought like $100 one, and they would apparently sell it and then like cancel the order. They probably did it for social media
for fun,
because I don't think you can deliver a sandwich. So yes, okay, we got a tiebreaker. Okay,
all right.
These are about shenanigans that happen in line. And if you answer the same number, I'm going to force Rajiv to pick another number so that we definitely have a definitive winner. Here we go. Number 1, a Popeyes employee in Texas was fired for selling a place in line for $30. Number 2, someone in Florida attempted to cut in line at a Popeyes by claiming to be an undercover police officer. And number 3, a couple in Maryland got married in a Popeyes drive-thru. 2 of these are true. 1 of these is false.
I don't know. They all sound true.
They all sound plausible.
Come on.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Reveal. You both said 1. Okay. So Rajiv, you got to pick another one.
I mean, my mom is so good at cutting in lines. So I just kind of figured like number 2 would be plausible.
She never sees the line. She just goes right to the front.
All right. I'm going to go for
3.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? This actually worked out in your favor this time because, yes, it's true. Rajiv, you got it right. Number 3 is the false one. A couple in Maryland didn't get married in a Popeyes drive-thru, but Alice, it did sound believable because a couple in Maryland got engaged in a Popeyes drive-thru.
I mean, when I was at Denny's, we had a wedding at Denny's.
You had a wedding, so that means that's why she thought it was plausible. So
that's why you thought it was true. Yes,
so much passion for the Grand Slam. Wasn't you had an innovation in there? The Grand Slam.
Build your own Grand Slam.
Build your own Grand Slam.
Oh, the build your own Grand Slam.
Yes,
that's very cool.
So Alice is definitely like the super marketing promoter innovator.
I just like food.
Well, unfortunately, our guest did not win this one, but don't worry, Rajiv is still a chicken. Okay, so you're doing fine. Thanks for playing.
So if I could ask a couple more questions, I know we're kind of at the end of time. What got you into, what sparked you to go after marketing and marketing innovation? So while you're sitting there, you were at Duke and you were working on these great stories, creative writing. What made you say, you know what, did you foresee yourself as, I want to be a CMO innovating for the hot meal segment?
No, it's even worse than English major. I was English major with a concentration in poetry and then got my minor in women's studies. So my parents were convinced that I was going to be living in a box down by the river. But when I got out of college and they were very clear that I wasn't coming home, one of the things that I could do was write. And I got hired as a temp job at a automotive aftermarket company. And the CEO was a really small company, wanted to write some white papers and gave me a shot at it and was surprised that I could write. And I started just doing writing for him. And 3 months in, this is the arrogance and stupidity of a 21-year-old. He brought me in and said, what is it that you want to do with your life? And I still wanted to go to New York and be a writer and have, scandalous love affairs and have a column and do whatever. But I was also watching Melrose Place, remember the old Melrose Place show? And one of the lead characters was a lady named Amanda, and she ran a marketing shop. So I was like, I would like to be a CMO. And he said, you know what, I'll give you 6 months. And if you can move the needle, I'll increase your salary from $17,000 to $19,000. And if not, I'll fire you and we'll just have drinks sometime. And it just worked out from there. And so it was very entrepreneurial and self-taught at the beginning of, hey, we need a brochure. Hey, we need a radio commercial. We need some product design. And then when the company was purchased by Pennzoil Quaker State, the gentleman in charge of M&A kind of took me under his wing and gave me the foundational pieces of marketing and started teaching me the theory. And then I went back and got my MBA, and it all kind of just built on itself.
That's fantastic. I love that story.
Yeah, there's no waste. Nothing goes to waste in life, I find. If you find a way to pull in all your experience and create values, it's very cool.
And it's cool that you get the serendipity of that in life and something just pops in your way and it just catches your energy.
Yeah.
I think in our earlier questionnaire, we asked you to name a historical event or person or movement that inspires you. And you mentioned aviator Beryl Markham.
Mm-hmm.
What about her lights you up?
I read her autobiography, when I was in college. It's called West with the Night. First of all, beautifully written. Hemingway once said that reading her work made him feel like an amateur. He was just disgusted with himself after he read her. But she had this life where whatever came in front of her, she grabbed it. So her mother died young. Her father moved her to Africa, where he worked out in the bush farming and raising horses. So she grew up with the Maasai children, hunting lions and being part of the tribe. And she went on from there to raise racehorses and train racehorses for folks in Africa. And then planes were just coming to Africa. She learned how to fly. She was the first person to fly across continents, in addition to being the first woman, and was able to communicate those experiences with such a high and beautiful command of the language and the experience. But I always thought, wow, to just, no matter where life puts you, like, figure it out and raise it to an art level. I mean, what better future could you hope for?
Right. It's like choose the most audacious thing you could do.
Yeah, and do it beautifully.
Okay, so how about this one? If money was no object, what would you do for an alternate job in an alternate universe?
I would write. I would get a little flat somewhere where I could walk around and see really cool stuff to inspire me, and I would try to bring those experiences and that beauty to a wider audience through written word.
Do you ever write in your spare time? You ever got your novel cooking on Google Docs?
Not as much as I used to, but it's a way of centering my mind. It calms me. So a lot of times, especially if there's something I want to process, I'll just sit down and try to make a poem out of it or a story out of it or something, because it helps me kind of put it to bed, because once you've captured the language, there's this poem by Adrienne Rich, Diving into the Wreck, and I keep a segment of it on my computer, and it says something like, words are purposes, words are maps. I came to see the damage that was done, but also the treasure that prevailed. And I think that the process of writing and dissecting your experiences and figuring out what combination of wreck and treasure you have is it's the best of puzzle solving.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah,
as you figure out the combination of spicy mayo and crispy chicken and
exactly 100%.
Yes, I must say I relate to you in the same way. I whenever I'm most stressed or down or in dealing with a difficult situation, the best thing is to sit down and write.
Yeah.
And whoever would read those writings would say, "This guy's nuts. He's ranting and raving." But it actually gets you to think through your thoughts, process your thoughts. And then there's that turnaround moment, just like any other story. There's just like a story where you're like, there's a conflict, and then how do you get through it? And that comes out in the writing after writing about it.
It's like cleaning up your room, right? You go into a mess and you slowly get it put into something useful or at least finished, and you can put it on the shelf and move on.
That's right. There's a hygiene to it. There's like a mental hygiene to doing it.
Exactly.
So Alice, I was inspired by talking with you today. I love great CMOs like yourself. You teach us a lot, and I like how you get involved in the product so deeply in the product, as much or more than the promotion, right? Because the product really drives everything, the entire experience. And I just love that. I love that about you. So I really enjoy meeting with you today and talking with you. I know my listeners will learn a ton from you.
Well, it's been a delight. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the time and letting me talk about my favorite subject, which is my delicious chicken.
All right, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the pod, please take a moment to rate it and comment. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and everywhere podcasts can be found.
This show is produced by Rajiv Parikh and Anand Shah, production assistance by Taryn Talley, and edited by Sean Marr and Aidan McGarvey.
I'm your host, Rajiv Parikh from Position Squared, a top-notch growth marketing company based in Silicon Valley. Come visit us at position2.com.
This has been an Effin' Funny production.
We'll catch you next time. And remember, folks, be ever curious.